So the genesis of Intelipedia actually goes back to 2004, a paper written by a colleague of mine, Cal Andrus, called The Wiki and the Blog. And that's how most people know about it. Again, you can search for it on the internet, it's on the internet. But the most important piece of that paper is the subtitle, which is Towards a Complex and Adaptive Intelligence Community. And his argument, again, was this idea that the world is changing rapidly. We need new technologies, new techniques to be able to move as rapidly as the world is moving. And he hit the key point, which is a transparent, a complex and adaptive intelligence community, which that's about culture. It's not about technology. And you heard the MITRE folks talk this morning. They use Confluence, and they use Scuttle, and they use SharePoint. These are not tools that we use in our software, but they're achieving the same goal because they're thinking about it from a cultural perspective, not a technology perspective. We always say that this movement is about 90% culture and 10% technology. There are many technological solutions that can achieve your goal if you get the culture right, if you fight against closing everything down, if you fight against protecting everything, if you enable people to act and talk and communicate, if you create a culture where you say, no, don't do that in email, do that on the platform, you can achieve success with a wide variety of tools. So that paper really allowed us the genesis for my colleague Sean to go up to the DNI, what was the predecessor of the DNI, and say, we would like to have a wiki solution. We would like you to put MediaWiki on the network so that we can try to achieve, so we can try to do this. And that happened in 2005. Late 2005 is when it went online. So it is, Intelipedia is the same software as Wikipedia. It's built on the MediaWiki open source software code. It exists actually on 3 different classified networks. It exists on the unclassified network where we are now. I'm actually briefing from it right live. So it is the unclassified network that is available to essentially all government officers that have some relationship to national security, and invited colleagues and partners from there. We call it the sensitive but unclassified network. It's also available on the secret level network. So this is State Department and military and DoD, and it's available on the top secret network where I do most of my work, which is known as JWICS. These are 3 networks. The networks control access. So once you're on the network, you have access to this tool and the other social software tools. If you want to contribute to that network, or if you want to contribute to the social software, you have to have an authenticated user ID so that your contributions are attributable. Questions there? We generally like to do this more freeform than just one of us talking all along the way. Any questions? Yes, sir, in the back. I'll repeat it.
Do you maintain a superset wiki and then your top secret and secret become subsets of that, or are they 3 separate wikis?
Not currently. So the question is, do we have like one superset that has all of the information in it from the lower networks? The answer is no. And what we believe is that these tools highlight the challenges that organizations and the classified world face, where we have all these different domains we have to work on. They did not create the challenge of having different networks. They highlight the challenges of users trying to manage knowledge across those. What we hope and what we advocate for is for solutions that are cross-domain solutions. So increasingly we can look down to lower networks. Increasingly we can sort of manage information across those networks. Because they're the same tools, it's easy to move data typically. So if I blog on the unclassified network, I can just copy that up to my top secret network and then post it again. Or the same thing with the wiki page, because it's the same wiki text, whether it's on unclassified or the top secret. I can just copy the wiki text and I can move it up. But the challenge is still there of how do we manage data across these? And that goes to one of our core principles, which I'll get to in a couple of minutes. Other questions before I go on? So, Intelipedia has gotten a great deal of press, and there's a Wikipedia entry on Intelipedia, and it gets a lot of news coverage. But what we like to say and what we like to emphasize over and over and over again is that Intelipedia is just one tool. It is part of a suite of tools that allow us to operate on the network, to operate for any user to contribute knowledge that's then visible to anyone at that network. So Intelipedia is an aggregation service. So think of it as a place where you can bring all kinds of disparate information about a topic together and say, what is it that we know about that topic? So whether it's a RAN or whether it's biotechnology or whatever the topic is, you can bring information together. So if State Department has published something about a RAN and CIA has published something about a RAN, we can bring that knowledge together and say, oh, combined, this is what we think we know. And we can source that and cite that to the original official documents that were put out by CIA and by State Department. Blogs are a place for communicating. So whereas everyone can edit a wiki page, not only the author can contribute to their blog. So if you want to have a thought that you don't want everyone else changing on you, that's a great place to have a blog. So you share your thoughts or your insight. And we see blogs as a great place for subject matter experts, people that have been in the business for a long time, as a great way of getting their knowledge and their tacit knowledge out of their head and into the platform space. Because again, no one can change their words. So they can craft their words and use the right terms, the right syntax, the right nuance to describe their thought and share that knowledge. Tag Connect is our version of social tagging, equivalent to Delicious. It's a purpose-built software, but I understand, I didn't know of Scuttle, so I'll look into that. And so Booz is using Scuttle for their social bookmarking. And that's a way to organize content. Social bookmarking is the same as going up to your bookmark file and saying, bookmark this page. But instead of doing that inside your individual browser on a single machine, you're doing that on a web-based application that others can see and that you can tag it for all the things that it is. So if it's conferences in Washington, D.C. and social media, you can assign all of those tags to it and find it later and say, oh, well, what were all the conferences I went to? Well, you click on the conferences tab and then all of the conferences that you bookmark show up. So it's a way of organizing. In addition to those which we consider the three core tools, aggregation, communicating, and organizing, there are additional tools, Intel Docs for document management. There is Gallery, which is sort of our version of Flickr, similar to Flickr, where you can share photos and images. iVideo, which is similar to YouTube. So just like I just did with Did You Know, I can do that inside our network with any video that people have uploaded. Again, it makes it available to the Google search, so you can find it, you can link to it. We have Intel Instant Messenger, which is built on Jabber, and it is a way for us to communicate with real-time chat across the community that's on whichever of those networks that I mentioned. And then really simple syndication or RSS to tie it all together so that I can subscribe to someone's blog, or I can subscribe to a tag, or I can subscribe to a video tag. All of those work together. Again, as I said earlier, each tool serves a niche, and then you link those niches together with links and with these tools and these widgets.